Welcome to the Walk-On Diaries podcast, episode 21. Your boys, Noah, John here in the studio with you. Just got John for a few minutes. Some important things to talk about. I mean, life or death things that we need to get to. But first, our interview with walk-on legend Alyssa Blair from Florida Gulf Coast.
Rolling.
So, you probably thought that this was going to be an interview with Alyssa Blair, didn't you? Psych! Due to some complications, we will be talking to Alyssa at a later date. So for now, back to the show. John and Noah. All right. Welcome back. Walk On Diaries podcast, episode 21. Wasn't that a fantastic interview?
Amazing.
That was, just insightful. You know, you really get...
I really like what she said about that game.
An inside look.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in that game.
Yeah,
Can you believe that?
Yeah.
I have never... Going back in the water again.
That's right. That is right.
Okay. Question for you, John. So, in the classic song, Old McDonald, when he says, and bingo was his name-o, is he referring to A, Old McDonald, or B, the dog? / the animal, whatever animal he's referring to.
The dog / animal.
And on that farm, he had a dog, E-I-E-I-O. And bingo, and then yada, yada, yada. And bingo was his name-o. Is the farmer's name Bingo, or is the animal's name Bingo?
The farmer's name is Old McDonald.
Right, but maybe he has a nickname, Bingo.
I have a question for you. Where are your shoes?
See, the thing is, pretty crazy morning this morning. And so I ended up wearing shoes that did not match my fit.
The kids were going crazy this morning.
Kids were going so crazy. I had to get them to school.
Had a rough morning.
I put the waffles in the toaster, forgot that they were in there, nearly burned the kitchen down. Burnt the waffles. I mean, I like them crispy. I like them crispy, but these were black, straight black.
Speaking of black, you like our new sign? Watch, Matt is going to edit in a picture of the Walk-On Diaries right here.
Yeah.
We're going to make it fun for Matt.
He's going to superimpose it.
All right, hang on.
It should be holographic.
Let's get his little thumbnail. Hey, yeah.
Yeah.
He's going to put the picture
superimpose that.
It's there. It's going to stay
there. I like
there.
that sign.
It's going to stay there for the whole pod, too.
High tech, huh? The whole pod.
The whole pod.
I see what you did there, though. Trying to evade my question with a nice little aside. Bingo. Name of the farmer.
Next.
Name of the animal. Okay. So Coach K, did you see this video? Duke and NC State. NC State beats Duke.
I watched the game. Horrible game.
For Duke or for just in general?
In general.
Yeah.
And especially for Duke, but in general.
Especially for Duke. I would say especially for Duke. I love Coach K. He goes handshake line. NC State coach walking towards him. Coach K blows right by him. No handshake. Doesn't even look him in the eyes, just walks right by him. And he's done this a couple times now. This is not a new thing for Coach K, right? Ever gracious in defeat, goes straight to the locker room. And then afterwards, in a private moment, right? So he doesn't think that there's any cameras around. He goes up to NC State's best player and says, "You played a great game. Not just a good game, a great game." Mind you, a private moment, no cameras. Somehow, even though Coach K did not want this at all, there were people with phones there taking a picture. Coach K did not want this, right? This is a private moment, and yet somehow, a little bit of image repair maybe, huh? For Coach K. Your take.
That is impeding on his privacy. Whoever has the camera needs to go to jail.
Okay. Next level thinking. If we're trying to paint why Coach K may have been justified in avoiding the handshake and showing disgraceful sportsmanship, okay, that may be your first thought. That's a little brain level type thinking, right? That he's just unsportsmanlike. Big brain.
What I said.
No. Big brain. You have to think about the bigger picture.
You know,
coronavirus is going around. Handshakes.
Exactly.
Dangerous.
Exactly.
I mean, you got to think about.
He's just not trying to get sick.
Right.
I get it.
You got to think about the moment. So Coach K saved the NC State's coach life.
Right.
A lesser man would not have thought that far ahead.
Exactly. He's just looking out for the other guy.
So are we making this Coach K thing about, because, the stories get told about him going to opposing teams' locker rooms after games and telling them that they played great, especially after they beat Duke. How would you feel if you were a Duke player and your coach is going to the other team and say, you guys played great? I mean, you guys are the best.
That's weird to me because I feel like Coach K specifically, because he's been in the industry so long, he's coached, he's played for so long. I feel like he feels like college football's grandpa, where he feels like
college basketball's
college basketball, where he's got that kind of moxie where he can just go up to anybody and be like, "Yo, good job." But I mean, he can. Like, if he comes up to me, that's the highest compliment I could ever see.
The number of guys who have a court named after them while they're still alive. Do you know how much of a big G, capital G move that is? Right. To have your team playing on a court that is named after you.
Coach in your court.
Yeah.
What?
The only two that I can think of are him and Roy Williams in North Carolina.
Yeah.
That their name is literally emblazoned on the court.
That's weird.
That is.
If I was him, I mean, I don't know if that'd be humbling or just like, I'm a G,
Yeah. I mean, that's a big boss move.
Well, I feel like he feels like he's big boss, because I feel like, I mean, who would go to the opposing team's locker room and do that?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, can you think of a first-year head coach, like if a first-year head coach, or even just a guy who's been coaching a D1 team for like 4 or 5 years did that?
Let's say like a 5-year head coach comes into NC State's locker room. Their head coach is on them. They're like, you're not supposed to be in here. You know what I'm saying?
What the are you doing?
Like Coach K, NC State said, hey, come on, Coach K, come on in here. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Although, if we're going back to our previous train of thought that Coach K was just trying to avoid giving the NC State coach coronavirus by avoiding shaking his hand, what does that say about Coach K then going up to NC State's best player and grabbing him by the shoulders? And then before that, going into the NC State locker room and presumably
that is next
spreading around the virus of the team.
That's the next level thinking. You're on it.
I think Coach K is on it because he's the one he's the mastermind here.
I feel like for a news reporter, Coach K knows that it would be easy to detect coach versus coach. But coach versus player, come on, never been done.
No.
Never.
Okay,
what a mastermind!
What a mastermind! I'm actually kind of fearful now, so I'm going to change directions because I don't want to keep talking about Coach K. You get put on that hit list. Yeah. He's going to come find us and try to shake our hands. Next thing you know,
I like you, Coach K.
I like you.
I do.
Okay. Question. NBA question. If you are building a franchise, would you rather have, as a player to build around, Trae Young?
So if I'm a coach,
you're a coach.
Okay.
Would you rather have, as a player to build around, Trae Young or Ja Morant?
Ja Morant. And I think because Ja Morant has what Trae Young doesn't. Trae Young is an excellent individual player. I mean, he had 50 last night, right? He's an excellent player. He got benched for the last quarter of the All-Star game, which was stupid.
That was ridiculous.
They probably would have won had he not. Anyways,
absolutely.
Here's what I want to say. Ja Morant makes his teammates better through him playing better. That's something that, like, the guys like LeBron James, Kobe Bryant have. You know what I'm saying? Or Shaq even. Like, the big guys, that's what the difference between, like a good player and a great player, or like a great player and an amazing player. Because they're both great players. But I think Ja Morant, because he is able to use his resources and make everyone around him better, I think that's what makes him better than Trae Young.
So this one's a tough one because they're both very good players. The way I see it is I try to project them and see what track they're on. So for Ja Morant, when I see the way that Ja Morant plays, I see Russell Westbrook. when I see the way that Trae Young plays, I see Damian Lillard. Now, both of those guys, obviously neither have won a championship. Both very good players, MVP candidates year in and year out. If I had to pick, and obviously I'm biased, I would want a player that plays more like Damian Lillard, where he can just score at will. Dame's assist numbers have gone up, and just by the way that he attracts opposing defenses, that still makes other players better. And I agree. I see where you're going with the Ja Morant thing. He makes other players better just by the way that he facilitates, but I just can't get over my hatred of Russell Westbrook.
See, for me, though, Ja Morant doesn't play like Russell Westbrook.
Okay.
I don't see him playing as Russell Westbrook. I see Ja Morant as like a Kobe Bryant that doesn't shoot as much. So like if you transfer Kobe's, if he didn't shoot as much, this would bring the more facilitating, less, offensive.
Is Ja that good on defense? Is he like kind of? I don't know. I haven't paid enough attention.
I'd say he's Kobe Bryant good on defense. I mean, both those guys are good on defense.
Trae Young sucks at defense. I love Trae Young, but he is basically a sliding glass door.
Ja Morant is better on defense than Trae Young, I would say. But, I would honestly go as far to say, like, Ja Morant has a similar game to people like Michael Jordan, I mean, I just don't see him run and gun like Russell Westbrook. Like a guy that's just going to sprint and pull up without even looking at anybody else,
Yeah.
I just don't see him playing like that. But Trae Young, in the future, I could see him being like a Steph Curry, which is good. Obviously, if we have a Steph Curry in Atlanta, come on. I don't think he'll be that good, but who knows?
Can't wait for Clint Capella to get out there. Still injured, and the season is over for Atlanta, and they're at the point now where the fans are kind of mad if they continue to win. Atlanta's won like 4 of their last 5 games.
Here's the thing that happens with Atlanta: pre-All-Star break, they suck. Post-All-Star break, they're okay, which gets them out of the very bottom.
Yeah. Which, I mean, this year, I don't think it's going to matter as much. It's not a 2-player draft.
Well, it didn't matter last year either.
Right. There's a clump of 5 guys, or maybe 5 to 10 guys that you just don't know how good they're going to be.
I mean, last year, I think the Knicks had a 20% chance of getting the number 1 pick.
Yeah.
Pelicans had like a 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And we see who got that.
As long as Atlanta is in that mix, right? As long as they have a percentage chance of getting the number 1 and number 2.
I have one thing. I have a question for you. Rookie of the year. Now that Zion's back, has gotten his feet wet a little bit. Who's winning it? Because previously, a couple weeks ago, we asked the same question, and the answer was Ja Morant for both of us.
Yep.
So what is it now? Because Zion, playing out of his mind, he's had 5 consecutive games with 20-plus points, I think.
Yep.
Never been done before.
I can't unless – because I don't know. It's tough. I think Zion will not get Rookie of the Year just by how many games he's missed. Okay. I think that Ja, even if he doesn't continue to play super hot, and I know he's gone through a couple slumps this year, even if he finishes out the season only averaging like 13 points, 5 assists a game, I still think he's got it.
See, for me, Zion's going to
think so?
I think it's,
I would be okay with that.
At this point, though, I don't think it's who's better, although I do think Zion's better. But I don't think it's who's had a better year, because obviously Ja Morant's had a better year.
Yeah.
Zion's played like 10 games max, But I think by the end of the season, it's going to be a toss-up, and with it being a toss-up, just sheer popularity Zion's going to get. I think it's going to end up being a popularity thing.
Yeah.
Similar to how the MVP candidate has been the past couple of years.
Yep.
So.
Phillip. Joke time.
Okay. Still good?
Yep.
Okay. So, I was at this football game, and it was the Seahawks and the Falcons. This is sometime last year. And then I walked by, and there's this group of dogs, and they were outside of the stadium, and they were grilling burgers, they were eating hot dogs, just having a good time. And a policeman walked by, and then he's like, "Hey, what y'all doing in there?" And then the beagle said, "Hey, we're tailgating."
No.
Tail.
Dogs don't have tails.
Because they're having fun. They're wagging their tails. You know what I'm saying? They're tailgating. Yeah, I like that one. I like dogs. But yeah, speaking of something besides dogs, I was talking to my friend. His name was Jacob, and he was like, I was like, how you been? And he's like, well, I just took this test. Not really sure how I did, but either way, I just don't like taking tests. He said, tests suck. And I said, hey,
Yes, they do.
you know what else sucks? Vacuum cleaners.
No.
That's disgusting.
You know what I'm saying, Sid? That's not my phone. Thank you.
Sit down there, bud.
All right, quick shout out to our man Keith Otto at Louisville. Got in the game against Syracuse the other night on national TV. Went to the free throw line. Calmly sank both.
100%.
Big airtime there for Keith. I mean, he's gotten some airtime, at the end of the bench, celebrations. Big airtime. I mean, can't remember who the commentators were, but it was ESPN. All right.
Great job there, buddy.
National audience. Made the walk-ons proud. Okay, 1v1 basketball battles of history. So, today we've got Aquaman versus Walt Disney. Ready? Begin.
Okay. You got to make a strong case for old Mr. Disney because Aquaman is a superhero who has superpowers.
Still confused on what Aquaman's superpowers are, because to me, I think his only power is that he can swim. He knows how to swim. Whoop-de-doo, you can do the breaststroke. I mean, how does that help you in a basketball court?
All aquatic animals, which is good because some are able to be on land as well. He can ride sea turtles, okay?
How does that help you in a one-on-one, half-court, first to 11, ones and twos scenario?
More people on the court, man. Everybody knows it.
The strict rules are 1v1.
Well, technically, they're not people, so...
Touche.
And the other day, I'm pretty sure we did like a band, so... So we're just going to keep that.
Touche. Walt Disney. Okay, my case for Walt Disney. Okay, Disney, as a company, owns ESPN. Walt owns ESPN, basically. ESPN employs several ballers. Paul Pierce, Chauncey Billups.
Shaq.
No, he works for Turner. He's on TNT. But those guys can teach Walt about basketball.
Good.
Show him how to win. Walt Disney is excellent at drawing up plays.
I did think he was pretty tall also.
Boom. He's a big schemer.
Okay, but Aquaman is extremely wet, okay? That's what you need.
Okay, Walt
Some
Disney,
water.
on the other hand, Aquaman is wet, but Walt Disney is cash money. Man, it's filthy rich. He is a walking cash money bucket.
Cash machine. So let's
The
think
cash
about
machine.
it. So let's think about
The
it.
cash machine.
Is it better to be wet or cash?
I mean,
That's up for you guys to decide.
that is what the philosophers have been talking about for centuries. One of the great mysteries of life.
Wet or cash?
So
We're not talking about money here, okay? We're talking about water.
Cash. Cha-ching.
Okay, I'm just going to go off what you normally say, and you normally say, so we're going to go with water is
It's
more
true.
important than cha-ching.
I mean, that is a great argument. I do always say, or I say,
But I say money. I mean, someone shoots money.
so you would agree that Walt Disney.
No.
Okay.
Because there's no Money Bros, but there is Splash Bros.
That's a good one.
And they at least could teach Aquaman how to splash.
Yeah. Okay, final score prediction. Walt Disney, 11. Aquaman, 9. I think this one's a close one because of
it's
that
close.
battle between cash and wetness.
I think it's a close one. I think wetness has a little edge over cash. So I'm going with 13-11. We're going overtime.
Ooh, yeah, win by 2.
A little over T. Over T. Okay.
All right. This has been the Walk On Diaries podcast, episode 21. Hope you enjoyed. Big shout out to Alyssa Blair for coming on the pod. Thank you for sharing your experience big time.
Yes.
Make sure to like, follow, share the pod.
And if you're feeling froggy, Let us know. Cash or water? You decide. We'll see.
Cash or water.
We'll see y'all next week. Peace.